Hey everyone, welcome to Hat Check Studios. I'm Art T. Bear, and I will be talking at you, with you, around you, through you for the next couple hours. Yeah, we are going to do some rocking and rolling, some metal conversation, some music conversation in a bit, and it's going to be a draw stream, but a very different type of inking drawing stream. I'm going to bring some people in, or at least a person in, and we are going to talk some music talk as I'll try to get a page done. What I'm doing is I'm working on the CHRONO MECHANICS stuff right now. Let me screen share with you. Yeah, so this is page 48, and I'm trying to finish it up today. So this is my goal for today. And so you guys have mentioned, hey, why don't you have somebody else like read the chat or co-host with you, that type of thing. So I invited somebody. I hope he shows up. So it'll be a lot of fun. So we have Shinto. How are you, brother? We have, what is this? A Crackhead Jeremy, 33. Hail the T-Bone. Slayer. Yeah, we have, what is this? I Borrow Ideas. Oh, yeah, I love that name. I Borrow Ideas, too. What's up? So let's see. Who do we have here? Let's add him and see. Whoa.
What up, How's it going, Art?
It's going good, my friend. Thank you for coming in, man. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. This is going to be awesome. Look at that page. Wow.
Yeah. I've already let me show you the Bitchosaurus. We call her the Bitchosaurus in the comic. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so one thing you don't want to do with CHRONO MECHANICS is take anything too seriously, because it is a pretty loony idea. Fun and loony. So
well, I mean, the art style lends itself well to that idea. So
yes, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been working on this all day?
Yeah, on and off. I've had some other things I've had to do. It's weird when you start these campaigns, you wear many hats, so you don't really get the quality time, I guess, in front of the board like I used to. But I don't know. It's a challenge. It's a lot of fun wearing many hats these days, because it's less boring. It's more interesting. I never know what's going to happen.
I mean, that's life, and I can only imagine it is exponentially more when you have to run a campaign, because you're doing this, that, and everything else.
Definitely. Are you coming from, what is this, your inner sanctum? What is behind you?
This is this is my living room library. This is my living room. This is one wall, and it's dedicated to paperbacks, and I've got my spinner rack here, and I got a whole bunch of short boxes behind me, and then over here I've got a shelf of graphic novels and some more short boxes. I mean, this is just where I keep all of my my reading material.
Well, I'm envious. I got to kind of stash my stuff in a small little room in the house here. You got the whole living room. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of rocking the whole bachelor pad thing. So I get a little to get to use the space all to myself.
Yeah. Where are you? Are you in California here, or where do you live?
No, I'm in Florida, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I'm in Florida. Yeah. I'm in St. Augustine. Yeah.
This time of year, it's beautiful, right? The temperature's perfect and everything.
It's getting there. Some days it's actually really hot and humid, and you're like, is this really supposed to be winter? It's like the rest of the country will be participating in winter, and Florida's like, meh, I don't care.
Yeah, I've taken usually if we make a Disney trip, like a Disney World trip, it's this time of year, the off season, like winter time, and the weather's usually perfect. Yeah. It gets a little cold in the evening, but during the day, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I actually kind of enjoy it when it cools off in the evening. It kind of balances out the feeling like you're going to die of heat stroke most of the time.
Yeah. Have you lived there all your life?
A good portion of it. I moved away to go to school up in New Hampshire for a while, and got my taste for shoveling my car out of snow, which I don't miss.
Yes. I talked to a lot of people. My wife and I are thinking of moving out of California.
Really?
We love the weather. We love everything about it, but my gosh, man, it is getting so expensive and crowded.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
It's insane.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, but you've been in California, forever, right? How long have you been there?
My whole life, yeah.
Oh, really? Were you born in California?
Yeah, I was born in Long Beach. Yeah.
So. California boy, born and bred. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember when Joe Rubenstein met me for the first time, because I've always lived in either Southern California, like the SoCal beaches, or the Orange County Beach area. And so when he met me, he was like, "You're not blonde and you're not tan. Like, what's the deal?"
The antithesis of what Southern California is thought of.
Yeah, he totally expected me to look like that. And I was like, what? And he even touched my hair. It was weird.
That's a little bit awkward,
Yeah, he was like, "It's not blonde." And I was like, "Oh, okay.
Are you real?"
Yeah. Sorry to let you down, man.
we don't all look like that,
Yeah.
Not everybody's a pull out from a Beach Boys song,
Yeah, even those guys, from what I remember reading, they weren't really beach people. It was just a name.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah.
My whole world just exploded. That just totally popped my perception of reality, Art.
Yeah, because wasn't it even like Dennis Wilson, the drummer? Didn't he drown?
Yes, he did. That's right. I totally forgot about that. How can you be a Beach Boy and drown? That seems antithetical. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
But I guess that's irony for you.
Yeah, what is it? Life is stranger than fiction.
Oh yeah, truth is definitely stranger than fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm on the light box right now. I'm trying to get this to a point where I can make it camera ready so I can start inking for you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you also, like, little backstory, you run a comic shop, right?
I work in my local comic shop, yeah. She's been around for 33 years, and I've been shopping there since I was 10. Like, she's known me since I was a wee little lad.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I used to go in and help out on Free Comic Book Day. And she had a lady that, worked for her for years, but she was a substitute teacher. So she got a full-time substitute teaching gig. And so Vanessa called me and was like, "So Kim got a job, and would you like to?" And before she even got like the words out of her mouth, I was like, yes, I would. And I've been working there for about 3 years now. I love it, man.
I have to ask you: is the perk anything you want absolutely free in the shop?
I can read whatever I want, and I usually get like trades and stuff like that at cost rather than having to pay the full retail price, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. So
you don't have to take a chance on anything. You can just take it off the bookshelf and start reading it right then and there.
Yeah, provided I don't have anything that needs to get done. Yeah, I can just pick it up and start thumbing through it and give it a read if I want to.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that there was nothing to do for you. You can just read comics all day. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, man. When it gets slow, we got some 50-cent bins, and I get bored. I'll just kind of meander over. I'll fix the wall, make sure all the new comics look nice, and then I'll meander over to the 50-cent bin and I'll start rifling through. The last time I did that, I ended up with a stack of old Conan books about this tall. But they were all Big John Buscema. So I'm like, how can I pass these up for 50 cents each? You know,
you're gonna hate me because I moved around a lot when I was younger. So I didn't have the living room. I never really had the space because I always lived by the beach. So I either had roommates or like small little apartments, like one room kind of, kitchenette, kind of, sleeping quarters, everything in one room. And so I never really had the space. So I moved probably every year or two, to a different location. And so I just got tired of like hauling all my stuff, and my parents weren't going to store all my junk anymore. So I literally just gave a ton of stuff away. And I had I think the whole like Savage Sword magazine, like the magazine size black and white John Buscema Conan books. I had all of probably the first couple years of the actual comic, the color version, the smaller version.
Oh yeah, the actual, not the prestige format, the actual ongoing that Marvel did.
Right, I think they just call it Conan, right? Savage Sword, that was the magazine, right?
That was the magazine size, yeah. Yeah, that was the black and white. That was actually the more adult stories too. Those were the, more, savage stories of Conan.
Yeah, those ones I really, really liked. And even as a kid, they weren't on like a spinner rack. They were over there with the Playboys and the wrestling magazines and stuff,
Oh,
and, yeah, you'd pick those up. And I gave all of those away. And then I had an original, I think they called them Don Post Studio, like reproductions of a Stormtrooper helmet from like 1979. And I just gave that thing away. Like I was just tired of traveling with everything. So I think eventually, before I met my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I just had a mattress and a drawing board. That's like all I owned,
Oh, Art, living Spartanly, man. You do what you got to do. I have dragged my collection. I drug it with me all the way up to New Hampshire when I went to college, and then I drug it all the way back down to Florida. Then I drug it down to Orlando when I moved down there for a while, and then I drug it back up here. I mean, they weigh a lot. Like, 15 long boxes and, 12 short boxes. It takes a little while, But I mean, you can see the books behind me. A lot of my boxes when I move, they're books. Paper weighs a lot once you get it all together.
It's dense. It's dense weight because there's no air. There's no space in between. Yeah.
I eventually figured out that if I put the books in smaller boxes, I would have more boxes, but they wouldn't give me a hernia every time I tried to pick them up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I love books. I love reading, man. And I've been a collector since I was about 3. My dad got me into comics with Spider-Man, Batman, and the Fantastic Four. And, I couldn't actually read them at the time, but I could follow along with the pictures. And I loved them, man. And I've been collecting ever since.
Yeah, that sounds like me as well. My dad worked at the shipyard, the Long Beach shipyard that was here.
Yeah.
And so I guess it was the time where everybody read comic books in the 60s, early 60s. So the sailors, because they were, they needed reading material and they didn't have iPads or any technology. So when they'd go out to sea, they just brought a bunch of reading material with them. And so those guys, when they'd come in ashore, they would just pretty much toss out their old collection or old set of books and then just buy a bunch of new ones before they went back out. And so I guess a couple of the sailors started giving those books to my dad. And my dad
That's awesome.
Bringing those home to me. And I remember some of like the early Neil Adams Green Lantern stuff. Even when I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, that shit rocks, man.
Dude, some of Neil's old stuff is just amazing. Just the way his characters flowed. Like just the anatomy, the dynamicism, like his old stuff still blows me away. I mean, he's still amazing, don't get me wrong, but if you look at some of his newer stuff, it doesn't seem to have the same feel that his older stuff did.
Dude, check this out. This was one of the covers. I still remember it. I still have it, the book. I drew all over it. When you're a kid, you draw all over things.
Oh yeah.
Not in good shape, and I think that the cover was stapled back on because I love this book to death. But it was the one where Green Arrow is tied. No, Green Lantern is tied to a totem pole, and Green Arrow is dressed like an Indian. He's got like a Native American. He's got a headdress on and everything, and he's got a bow and arrow, and he's cocking it back, and he's gonna shoot it right at Green Lantern. And I think he's stepping on Green Lantern's ring. Yeah, that's what it is. Like it's worm's eye view, so you see the ring under the Green Arrow's foot. And then he's aiming his bow right at Green Lantern. And I was like, as a young guy, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. And was that the Green Arrow, Green Lantern book that they had together?
Yeah. And there's still to this day, it's one of the most epic hero battles I've seen. Like it's not superhero, but it's imano, and it's pretty much to the death. And so those two finally get it, they go at each other. And so then Green Lantern is like, you want to do this? And so Arrow's like, yeah. And so he takes his ring off, right? And he drops it on the shore. And then they just beat the shit out of each other.
Hey, man, if you're going to have a knockdown, drag-out fight, no powers. Just, exactly. Fisticuffs, man-to-man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it was one of those cool fights too, where they never really resolved it, like who would have won. So it was kind of a 50-50. And then I think the main villain, comes into the story, and then you find, like the villain betters them or bests them, and so then they have to put their differences aside and overcome, the villain. And God, it was so good, so good.
I mean, that's how you do hero throwdowns, that's when they built the formula for having heroes meet up, butt heads, and then they figure out their differences and they throw down against the actual bad guy.
I think it's like two alphas on the playground, right? Like they go after each other, and then they humble each other, and then they become best of friends. Like that's kind of the guy,
right? Well, exactly. That's kind of what guys do, right? Like, oh, I've got beef with you. Yeah, well, I got beef with you. All right, let's have a fist fight. And then afterwards, you're like, all right, we cool. You want to go grab a beer?
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes with dudes.
Yeah. But I like that way better than the female, because that's all like psychological, like warfare, and that's tougher. I'd rather be punched in the head than like that.
Man, it's right. I mean, at least that pain, you feel it, and then you get over it, and it's done. I've known some women to hold grudges for a long time. And I mean, how do you work past that? You don't. Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
exactly.
That's just part of the way the world's changing, I guess, man. What are you gonna do?
For a long time, man.
Yeah, this is true. But just as long as we, go at the world with honesty and integrity, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, and that's always the thing. That is always the thing. Yeah, I almost got this one side done.
Cool.
I'll be
looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Have you heard about Kyle Ritter's condition?
No.
Yeah, he's been in the hospital. He's been diagnosed with pneumonia, and the last I saw, let me control click. Let me open this up here. Last I saw, they were keeping him in the hospital, and they're doing some tests on him. And pneumonia, and they're looking. He's gonna have to. I guess he's gonna have to have a CPAP machine or something like that. But apparently, he was gonna have like problems with his kidneys if he hadn't gone to the hospital when he did. So I'm really glad to hear that he went. So everybody, Deaf Colorist on Twitter, if you want to send him some good wishes and get wells, I'm sure he would love to hear from everyone.
Yeah, I was working with him just before this because he's coloring my black and white Vampirilla cover for Dynamite.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Vampy's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah, I remember him when he was just breaking in because he would color up, like I'd put commissions up. This probably dates, when DeviantArt was a thing. And
I mean, technically, it's still a thing, but
yeah, I don't think people. I still get quite a good response on it, but a lot of people say it's dead. And so he would grab those and just color them up, and it was pretty cool. And I kind of I mean, it was just kind of in the peripheral, on the side. And then I start seeing these Cyberfrog pages, and I'm like, who the hell colored those?
right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy this is Kyle Ritter. He took a major leap, man.
He's amazing, man. His colors are just so vibrant, and he's got, a really good sense of color. Like, he understands color theory amazingly well.
Yeah.
Like, you see some colorists, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay. You kind of have the basics, but Kyle really seemed to lean into it, and he's got it down, man. Like, those Cyberfrog pages are amazing.
Yeah, I hope he gets better. What is that machine that you said he's hooked to, or they're going to hook him to?
A CPAP machine. It's for sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is when, you're sleeping at night, but you kind of stop breathing in the middle of the night, and it can cause pneumonia. So the CPAP machine it keeps forcing air into your lungs to keep you breathing at night. It's supposed to help you sleep better, and it's supposed to keep you from getting pneumonia. And it can be a serious thing, sleep apnea. Do you remember the book Poison Elves, Art?
No.
Put up by Sirius in the 90s. Okay, well, it was a black and white independent book created by Drew Hayes, and he actually had the same thing that's going on with Kyle right now, sleep apnea, and he got pneumonia because of the sleep apnea, and he ended up dying in his sleep because of it. So I mean, it's a serious thing. So I'm glad Kyle's getting this taken care of, and I really hope he makes a full recovery as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, pneumonia in itself isn't, that's pretty serious. People die of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if left untreated. I mean, I heard about like walking pneumonia. Like, you're up and you're walking around, you're doing fine, but you still got pneumonia. You can still die from it. I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I had like, what do they call it, double pneumonia or something like that, and it's also from what's that, Pamela? Oh, I thought she yelled. And it took me forever to get out from under it. Like, God, it was like months and months to recover fully from it, and most of that was just work and stress. And then you get a little cold, and then it doesn't go away, and then the next thing you know, you're really, really sick. So, yeah,
that does not sound like fun.
Yeah,
I mean, being sick is never fun, right?
Yeah, but like sick where you can't really get out from under it, it's actually kind of scary. So
yeah. So I mean, they're keeping him in the hospital for a few more days. They're running some more tests, making sure he's all right. But he seems to be doing a lot better now.
Oh my gosh! Because the last thing I heard, I think he was saying that he's going to be out soon.
In the next couple of days, it looks like. I've been checking in on him on Twitter here and there. He's been posting some updates, keeping us all from worrying too much.
Gosh.
Posting all these sexy pictures of him, reclining back in the bed there.
Hooked up to machines.
Hooked up to machines, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, some people, they just have the life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he seems to be doing okay. He seems to be doing okay. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knew, and that everybody sends him good wishes, because I want him to know that how much this community cares about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people do anything to take a day off, right?
It's totally what it is. Incurring those ER bills just to get a day off. I mean, So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll open this can of worms. Let's talk about something to get the chat jumping.
Okay, somebody just got snubbed.
Yeah, Judas Priest got snubbed.
Yeah. What is it? Is it JK or what's his name? He's the one verbal about it, right?
Richie Faulkner.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a joke that Judas Priest was not included. So I contest that it's not really the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anymore. It should just be the Music Hall of Fame, because what does Whitney Houston have to do with rock and roll?
Yeah, nothing.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I thought the same thing when they were like, oh yeah, Michael Jackson inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he was the king of pop. He wasn't rock and roll. Why is he in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Doesn't make any sense.
That guy can beat it.
But I'm ching. Rimshot.mp3. Good one, Art.
Not really, but thank you. Somebody had to do it.
Right? Better you than me.
Yeah, exactly.
And Michael Jackson's work never did much for me. I mean, Thriller's great, and then that one song he did with his sister, I think it was called Scream. Yeah, I enjoyed that, but that's really about it.
And then there's like what is it? Which one is the one he did with Slash?
Oh hell, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard that one.
Yeah. There's this. He did try to do the same thing he did with Eddie Van Halen, but he did it with Slash, and it wasn't quite as successful. But that's the only rock and roll cred he's got, is the stuff that he did with Slash and with Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, well, I mean, also, marrying Elvis's daughter for that hot minute. I suppose that kind of counts. I don't know.
I'm not saying that it was prearranged, but it was prearranged.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it. Publicity stunt. Make it seem like he was living that normal life instead of whatever he was.
Oh, we know what he was.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I used to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt, but I don't even allegedly anymore. I'm like, no, that guy was doing some shit.
Yeah. I mean, if there's this many people coming out and saying that, then, there's got to be something to it.
Well, there were two major trials, right? There were two major trials. And then even recently, there were there two guys that are adults now, right, that came out and said, yeah. And then they had those creepy photographs when they were kids and they were holding hands with Michael and stuff.
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch with Michael. Like, that's not normal behavior.
No, that's definitely not. Like, and inviting kids to come over and hang out and have a sleepover.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, like, whose parents decide, you know what? I'm going to let my 10-year-old, 5-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever, go hang out with this 34, 40-year-old man and stay the night at his house unsupervised.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what parent, no matter who the person inviting, what parent says, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to let that happen.
From what I understand, he would kind of woo the parents. Did you ever hear his MO? Like, that dude, I'm sorry, that dude's a pedophile. He is. Like, he fits every definition of a pedophile. He didn't have an ice cream truck. He just had an amusement park. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And a monkey.
And a monkey. I mean, what kid wouldn't want that? But he would like woo the parents. Like, he would get them into like Hollywood premieres and plays and like all these like celebrity meetings. So he would kind of put stars in their eyes, like those guys, they would go out and then, he'd say, well, then you could stay with me while you're, here, there, or wherever. And of course it was all first class limos and everything. So he pretty much wined and dined the parents to look the other way.
Oh no. So so he basically bribed them with like distractions and whatnot. Oh, you don't need a babysitter. He can just come hang out with me.
Right. Oh. And I guarantee you most of those parents were like star parents. Like, they wanted their kid to be in the movies or thought they were talented or whatever. So they were pretty much just prostituting their kids out for a career.
That happens. That unfortunately happens a lot out there. Yeah, I've got family that lives out there, so I know. I know how it goes. Eesh.
I'm not laughing at the kid. I'm just it's
Yeah.
insane. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when it becomes like a trope, that means it's happened a lot.
Yeah, that's why I think there's got to be fact to it. Like how could so many people say these things and then have none of it be fact? And then just that last trial where Jackson was dancing on the hood of his limousine and like he was entertaining the people out in front of the courtroom. Remember that? Like that's a guy that's clearly out of touch with reality. Dude, these are pedophile charges. These are like molestation charges. And you're just taking it like so lightly and you're just dancing.
What? This is also the guy that put a towel over his baby's head and then dangled it off the side of a balcony.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, the child services, where you at? You gonna do something about that? Or you just gonna let that ride? No, you're just gonna let that ride. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
If it was you and I, yeah, that kid would be in some kind of protective services. But no, Michael Jackson, he's the king of pop.
King of delusions, but yeah.
But
dude, that is looking beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So let's talk about the priests. So what is the backlash? What's going on with them?
Oh, right. Let me bring that up. Well, I mean, basically, Richie Faulkner was slamming the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because, I mean, they've been snubbed every year. They decide to induct people into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, I can understand 9 Inch Nails, but Whitney Houston and Biggie Smalls, they don't have anything to do with rock and roll.
Right.
Nothing. Like, why Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Have a music Hall of Fame. Let's see. Richie said in a separate tweet, I've said it before, but 50 years in and still making music, touring the globe, and the best fans in the world is the biggest accolade I can think of. These institutions are founded on what these guys helped create, and not to be included is a total joke. I have spoken. Ha ha ha.
So what instrument does he play? Like, I'm not familiar with his name.
I want to say he's the guitarist.
Because there's Glenn, there's KK, and there's obviously Rob. So I don't know the bass player or the drummer's name.
Let's see. A quick Google search should tell me here. Lead guitarist for Judas Priest.
So I wonder if he was maybe early or later member. Because I only remember those two guys, that KK and Glenn Tippett or Temple.
Yeah, Glenn Tippett. He's been the guitarist since 2001. Okay. He replaced KK.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he's just basically kind of went on a Twitter rant saying that it's kind of bullshit that Judas Priest is getting snubbed, but they're going to induct Whitney Houston and Biggie Smalls and Depeche Mode and 9 Inch Nails. Do
you remember the whole, like, when Kiss was Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Paul Stanley was basically like, it's just a joke. He's not going there with any kind of reverence to the award or any respect for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's doing it for the fans. Like he made it out to be like, this is for you guys. This is vindication and validation for the years that you stood by us. So it was for the Kiss Army, that kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it, and that's kind of what it is. And when you follow a band for so many years, it's nice to see them get recognized because it is kind of vindication for you loving that band so much.
Yeah.
But, at this point, it doesn't really seem like it means much of anything anymore.
Yeah. The only good thing that comes out of that is there's some good matchups. Because what was it like? It was Queen and those two guys from Foo Fighters. Because they had those jams.
Yeah.
And so you get these cool matchups, and there's like, I'm kind of a progressive rock guy.
Sure.
So Chris, what's his name? The bass player for Yes. Chris Squire, one of the best bass players, I think, in rock and roll. He had passed away, so Geddy Lee, who was kind of a disciple of him anyway, went in, sat in, when Yes played. So like you get all these like really cool crossover things that happen, and that's
true.
the thing I like about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is the good thing about it. You get these unique mashups. Speaking of unique mashups and Kiss, I don't know if you can see my shirt here.
Hold on, let me put my pin down.
Thunderian Rhapsody.
Yeah, the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. The internet is a crazy, silly, fun place sometimes.
It's getting more fun as we go along. Yeah. Absolutely. If you don't take it too seriously, I think you can have fun with it.
Yeah, that's true. If you don't take it too seriously, you can have fun with it. Sometimes Twitter, man.
Yeah.
I actually jumped off Twitter for, years. I didn't pay any attention to it. And over the last, 6 months, I've been jumping back on there more. And it's amazing how people just love to argue with one another. Like, for the sake of arguing.
Yeah, I don't think they really even care. Like, they just want to rant. Like, they don't care about anything. They don't care about their self-respect. They don't care about the outcome. They just kind of want to argue and yell and just act. I guess it's like virtue signal, right? They just want to act like they're opposed or like they're outraged. But in reality, I don't think it even really matters to them. They don't really care. They just want to.
I agree. Sometimes I wonder if it's just because they want to, feel like they've won an argument with somebody rather than, actually getting to the point of something or, finding out what's right. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think they just want attention. Like, I think it has nothing to do with resolve or anything. It's just about getting attention and saying crazy shit. Because I don't think they really want any clear answers, like you said. I don't think they want any resolve. I think they just want to talk crap.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's why a lot of people that argue online, they go into, like, for lack of a better term, they go into monologues like some second-rate supervillain, where they've got to go on this diatribe of like, this is this and that is that, and I won't hear anything about it. And it's like, why? You don't want to have a discussion then. You just want everyone to listen to you and tell you that you're right, so you can get, like you said, you can get virtue points or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's not the point that's not the point of discourse. It's not the point of discussion. Like, find common ground, talk.
Yeah, whoever came up with virtue signal, like, that's freaking genius, man. Because that's exactly what they're doing. Like, look, I'm a good person. I'm saying, I'm speaking out against this, and it's like, well, that's all it takes is to speak out against something. No action, no, you're not doing anything. You're just kind of speaking out, and then everybody's supposed to go, "Oh, you're a great person." Well, there's no substance to that. It's just you talking, oh, you know what? Homeless that's a horrible situation. We should take care of homelessness. Virtue signal points, right? Like, that's all you have to do. Like, ridiculous. Like,
well,
yeah. War. We should end war. Virtue signal points.
It's and they're saying things like, that common sense says, yes, of course war is bad. Nobody wants to have to send any of their loved ones off to die in a war. So why are you even bringing this up? Oh, because you want to look like you care about something. Got it. And oh, the homeless is bad. Well, if you feel that strongly about it, go volunteer at a shelter. Go help out. And don't take 4,000 selfies showing that you're doing it. Just do it and keep your mouth shut about it.
Exactly. Yeah, as soon as you start, like, taking pictures of yourself or congratulating yourself, like self-congratulatory victory photos and stuff, then you've already lost your credibility, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, absolutely. It defeats the purpose. Yeah, you may still be doing something good, but you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
like what was the one? It always cracked me up where this will date this reference, but it was Paris Hilton, and she made sure she had like press around her when she gave some bum like $100, and then it becomes headline. $100 for
Totally.
her is like 50 cents for us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this did not put her out at all, and also she probably didn't work for that money anyway. So what does it matter?
Yeah, you're right, Matt Cisco. Definition of integrity is something they don't have. That's true.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Death Metal Hero. Feel free to read the chat too. It would definitely help.
Yeah. Tinfoil Oracle. You said I disagree. Look at what they did to Vic Mignogna. I know a little bit about what's been going on with Vic. Want to clarify what you mean?
Yeah, I don't really know either. I know that he was a little touchy-feely at conventions. That's all I know. And then there were some, I guess, fans or were fans were a little butthurt, and maybe he snubbed them and they got a little butthurt. And so
Well, see, and that's what I always wonder.
Molestation, or there was some kind of abuse.
What I've seen a lot of is that Vic seems to be a very happy-go-lucky person that enjoys interacting with his fans and, likes to give his fans hugs, And if you look at him, he's a good-looking dude, So I imagine a lot of his female fans, like getting hugs from him. Not saying that any kind of untoward behavior is excusable, not at all. But, there is also that thing that I wonder, did he somehow, like you said, snub somebody or rub somebody the wrong way, and then they suddenly decide, well, he touched me untoward. There's also
not rub them the right way.
I see what you did there. And I also heard about the other voice actors. He tried to pick up some of the women that he worked with, because I mean some of the voice actor women like Grey Delisle and all them, they're beautiful. Like they are beautiful women.
Tara Strong, is that one?
Tara Strong is gorgeous, man. I love the different voices that she can do too. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
But let's see. Tinfoil Oracle says just that a lot of talk does not mean it's true. That's that is accurate. That's why we need receipts, as the quartering says.
That'd be great if you could get them.
Right? Like proof. Like the burden of proof lies on the accuser. Hey, take it easy, Matt Cisco. He says, "Gotta go. Wife is hungry. Go feed the wife, man." As they say, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging in the chat. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, man. And Sticky Wicked 447 says he's a Christian, so there's that. Well, that's good. Again, people can say whatever they want. So actions speak louder than words. People's actions will always show you who they are more than what they say.
Yeah, always go with that. That's the best advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I Borrowed Ideas says a lot of VAs were jealous of his popularity and the crowd he brought in. That and that he's a known Christian. Okay. Yeah, I do know that having at least that particular religious belief seems to paint a target on some people's backs.
Yeah, and even what was the situation recently where we got a known terrorist, we took him down, and so if this was any other presidency, we'd all be cheering. But there's a faction that are virtue signaling, saying that the president was wrong and that this was like a hateful act and stuff like that. And
yeah,
when have we ever been so divided in this country that we're like, we don't even like he was a bad guy, regardless. He was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So however he met his fate, why should we go, oh, poor dude? Like, it's weird, man. It's so strange.
Well, broad stroking somebody as, the president, broad stroking him as no matter what he does, he's just an awful person and we should be anti every decision he makes is what the narrative seems to be. you know, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I mean, I didn't vote for either one of the candidates. I voted for a third party. I'll tell everybody that up and down. You know, I voted with my conscience.
Definitely voted for Bernie Sanders.
No.
That was a joke.
I don't, dude. You know, speaking of that, and not to get too political, but it makes me wonder why the Democrats went with, you know, a known, you know, not conspiracy, a known scandal-ridden candidate in Hillary when Bernie was clearly the front runner that people liked. You know, it might have been a different outcome if they hadn't, you know, changed and gone with Hillary. But, you know, then Bernie went and towed the party line. So I think he lost all his credibility with anybody that thought he might have stood for a different change.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
I think it's very clear now, the line that Bernie toes. But I think he did a really good job in the campaign. I think people had to dig a little bit to see how deep his socialist roots went.
You know, socialism is a hop, skip, and a jump away from communism.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it doesn't work. You know, you got to have a balance. You got to have people be able to, you know, create things, make things, do things without the state taking everything away from them. So,
well, people say that capitalism is unfair. Capitalism is actually the most fair way to trade services, goods, that I've ever seen, you know, in the world that's ever been. Because if you don't like the product, or it's too expensive, or it's inferior, then you don't buy it. So you vote with your dollar. The dollar, there's no discrimination. Like, everybody's dollar is worth the same. You know what I mean? If you're Black, Asian, you know, Caucasian, whatever religion you are, the dollar doesn't discriminate. And capitalism doesn't discriminate either. The only time capitalism has a problem is when the government gets involved and like buys out banks or car, you know, manufacturers, things like that, that the natural order is saying, yeah, well, maybe GM should go away, or, you know, maybe this bank should collapse. You know, that type of thing. But then they scare you with, oh, well, if they collapse or they fall apart, then all these people are going to lose their jobs. Well, guess what? There's a void in the marketplace. You don't think somebody's going to step up, buy that plant, and make a better car? Of course they are. That's how things work. But if you get in the way, then those things don't get a chance to operate and work, you know, in a normal, the way they were actually created to be.
Absolutely. And, you know, part of communism is the state seizing means of production.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know everything about communism, but that's one of the things I distinctly remember from my studies.
Right. And anybody that thinks that that communism is fair or socialism is fair, there are still rich people within those structures. There are still. How do you explain this is a fair and equitable way of conducting, you know, goods and services, or just a way of life? Then why are there still rich people within that structure? If it really was fair and equitable, everybody would be treated the same. But they're not.
No, they're not. Especially, you know, if the people that are part of the, you know, there's always a ruling class no matter what. You know, there's always a ruling party no matter what. And if you're part of that ruling party, then you're taken care of and you're treated just fine. Yeah. I mean, it seems like we've, I don't know, forgotten the lessons of the past that we saw from these countries that went through it. I mean, I don't know.
And they're still going through it. Yeah, there's still countries that aren't really flourishing. And it's so interesting. I didn't realize, like, you know, there was a lot of, especially in California, like Ronald Reagan, and, you know, because he was a Republican and stuff. So he got a lot of, you know, flack. But the one thing about, like, I didn't understand it at the time because I was young and it scared the crap out of me, you know, the arms race and all that stuff.
Sure.
But when you look back at it, I realize now it wasn't really about weapons and mass destruction. It was about destroying somebody's economy. And so it was like whoever had the most money to make the most weapons. You know what I mean? Like it kind of came down to that, like whose economy was able to sustain this. And so in a nutshell, we broke them economically. They had to drop out because they didn't have any more money. Like, and from what I remember at the time, we were actually feeding, because there were people starving, like their economy was collapsing. And even America was sending aid to Russia during the Reagan years. So
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty bizarre, and that wasn't even that long ago. And now we look, we're thinking like, oh yeah, that's a good way of life.
It works on paper and in theory, but then you have the reality of, people actually being people. And people are always going to do what they think is in their own best interest.
Well, the reality is who's going to pay for it?
It's got to come from somewhere, Yeah. It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look through the chat here. Mayfield Jukes says people still don't know about the DNC fraud lawsuit. The DNC successfully argued in court that they aren't obligated to provide a fair primary process and can select their nomination regardless of the vote tally.
Wow.
Oh, so that's why they went with Hillary. Interesting. Just toss out due process and do whatever you want. That seems like a good system to go with.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to prop up Bernie this time out for the new election year?
Hell, I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems like they might, but then again, Joe Biden seems to be like the front runner. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, they're all so fractured that I don't know if any of them get their shit together enough to actually, do anything.
Well, the weird thing about Joe Biden is like that guy is a bigger creep than what the left say Trump is. Like
that's what it sounds like.
Have you seen those pictures of him with kids and stuff? Oh my gosh, it's really creepy, man.
Shades of Michael Jackson, you say?
Oh my gosh. You find out that he's got a ranch, with a bunch of amusement park rides.
Oh God. Well, I mean, that whole weird comment that he was talking about with like, kids pulling on his leg hair and stuff like that. I'm like, are you off your meds? What are you talking about, you crazy old man?
Yeah, some weird people out there, man.
These
are people that we're supposed to look up to, right? These are people that were like, lead us. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy world we live in these days, but at least we still got comics, right?
And rock and roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are you listening to right now, Art? What is like in your CD player? What's on your playlist right now?
Well, since Neil R.I.P. has passed, I've been just listening to all, because there was a period, probably about 10 years, that I really didn't listen to any Rush music. And so I'm going back and listening to their entire catalog. And I'd say overall it's real hit and miss, but there's some gems in there, man. There's some gems. So I've been doing that. And God, who else? There's a band I really like, and my daughter likes them too. They're called Escape the Fate. And they're kind of like a Van Halen meets like hair metal meets like heavier metal, because there's some of that, there's that in there, but then there's like there's melodic singing and there's shred, like Eddie Van Halen kind of shreddy guitar stuff in there, but it's not like virtuoso like solos, because that those long like solos I think are a little bit like cliche now. So they fit them in like bridges. Yeah, I still like it. But in the Escape the Fates, they don't really do long solos, but in between, like in bridges and different between verse and chorus and things like that, there's these little flourishes and things like that
cool.
Just remind you that dude's badass, right? Like,
yeah,
you can shred.
I might have to check them out. I've heard the name before, but I've never sat down and listened to them. Let's see. In the chat here, somebody Simeon7 says art was a model Roman citizen, and then he follows that up with you missed the day. Yeah, art longs for the days when the ultimate evil were Attila and the Huns.
Yeah, those guys were dicks. How about you? What are you listening to?
Oh, the same stuff that I've been listening to for like the last 10 years or so. I most recently I've been really listening to a lot of The Sword. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No.
There's a song called Tres Brujas, and it's like heavier classic rock. Like if you took classic rock and kind of drop D'd it a little bit and made it crunchier.
Cool.
They're really awesome. I don't even know if they're still putting out music, but like Age of Winters, Warp Riders, two really good albums.
Who would you? Okay, it's The Sword.
The Sword, yeah.
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 So what would you compare them to?
If I had to pick like a shit. If I had to pick like an older if I had to pick an older band, like maybe like a heavier Deep Purple.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Burn.
You know, with some with some overtones of Black Sabbath in there.
Yeah.
Oni, Iced Earth, yes. Love me some Iced Earth. And King Crow, Soulfly, yes. Still love me some Soulfly.
Yeah.
And Helmet. See, one of my favorite like death metal bands right now is Flesh God Apocalypse. They're an Italian death metal band, and they will literally throw opera into their death metal. Like, it'll start out like all operatic, and since I've got so much eclectic music on my phone and I play everything, I'm wondering, okay, is this actually a classical song, or is this the beginning of a death metal song? I'm not sure until that first double kick starts in, and then it's on. Man, those I'm sitting here watching you put those rocks in, and it's just it's taking form right in front of us, man.
Cool.
Yeah, look at those details.
So I'm trying to think like Metallica. Like I'm like more of the classic stuff, but I haven't really listened to too much of the new death metal. Like I still like Pantera.
I love me some Pantera, man. Dimebag. Yeah. Yes, Dimebag.
R.I.P. Yeah. That's some great stuff. I'm trying to think of some of the other. But yeah, like let me know like some of the newer stuff, because I'm always looking for new music. So I wrote down The Sword.
Me too. Awesome. Yeah, I think you'll dig The Sword. Let's see. I've got like a 128 gig card on my phone, and it is just all filled with music. Oh, speaking of Rush, there is a cover by one of my favorite YouTubers, Leo Moracchioli. He's a dude from Norway that does heavy metal covers of pop songs, and he just did a cover of Rush's Tom Sawyer. And I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, but he does some of my favorite covers ever.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to the video.
Yeah, I'm always looking for stuff like that. Have you ever heard of their older band Riot or Saxon? They're like
Saxon. Yes, I've heard of Saxon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never actually listened to them though. I've heard that name though.
Yeah, Riot's kind of like they were like more of a punk version of Iron Maiden. So they came out maybe
I like the sound of that.
Or a little earlier. But they never really made it huge. But I think is it called Fire Down Under? and it's pretty good.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
And there's a song called Swords and Tequila.
I like that.
It's like swords and tequila, carry me through the night. Swords and tequila, carry me through the fight. And
See, now I want to write a parody song that's whiskey and axes.
Yeah, it practically writes itself now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Fenrir Fire asks if I like Therion. I'm not sure I've ever listened to Therion, Fenrir. The name sounds cool though. And hey, Art, do you remember Manowar?
Oh,
7-on-7. I love Manowar. Yeah. Manowar and Wasp.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Some fun stuff back in the day.
It was weird because those guys were like in the hair metal time, and there wasn't a lot of high points in the hair metal decade. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys were trying, you know. But
they kind of had to roll with what they had to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure the record company was like, we need a power ballad, like, because everybody had the power ballad, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the time for it, you know. But I mean, you know, there was still some good stuff to come out around that time, like like Death and Venom both kind of started up then. I mean, death metal actually started here in Florida. Death was a Florida band, and the reason why the term death metal got coined is because, you know, a reviewer said Death just kind of plays their own type of metal, and from then on out it was death metal.
I didn't know that. I always thought it was like Swedish, but that's the new version of death metal now, is the Swedish movement, I guess, that's going on right now.
Yeah, they kind of picked it up from what I understand, picked it up in the mid '90s, and that's where it started. You know, you getting this new blood mixed into it. You know, and then of course you've got the branch off of the black metal, which is what Venom was. You know.
So do you like any of the more classic stuff, like old Judas Priest and and like Purple and Sabbath?
Oh yeah, I love me some Sabbath, man. Sabbath and Led Zeppelin were two of the bands that I was raised on, and I love me some Sabbath. I love me some Zeppelin. Like you don't turn off Led Zeppelin when it's playing, you know.
Yeah.
You let that song play, you know. The only thing you turn off a Led Zeppelin song for is more Zepp.
More Zepp.
Yeah. I was out grabbing a drink with a friend of mine the other day, and they were playing Zeppelin on the radio at the bar that we were at, and then somebody turned it off to play Fall Out Boy, and I just about hurt somebody. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" You know, and the bartender's like, "Oh no, sorry, man." I was like, "Ugh."
You just witnessed a crime,
right? Like you don't do that. Let's see, El Gargoyle.
Zeppelin on the jukebox, like that.
Yes. That's a travesty. You got to have at least a couple of Zepp songs.
Yeah.
Aside from Stairway to Heaven, because I love the song's great and all that, but it's overplayed. You know,
effed out.
Yeah, give me Black Dog, you know, any day of the week. That's probably my favorite. You know, El Gargoyle says, "What kind of metal would you call Ghost?" I probably wouldn't call Ghost any kind of metal. I would call it, goth pop with black metal themes. It just Ghost doesn't do anything for me, but if you dig them, that's cool. I exist in the heavier end of the spectrum, and they don't do it for me. You know?
Yeah, I think that singer had like origins in like death metal, but definitely it's way more melodic now. They really are kind of like a Blue Oyster Cult type of band where it's kind of poppy, but with like heavier kind of subject matter. But even
definitely
like Ghost isn't, the subject matter isn't even that heavy. I thought like actually when you think about how acceptable like that Don't Fear the Reaper song is, the Blue Oyster Cult song.
Oh, I love me some Blue Oyster Cult, man.
How accepted that song is, but it's a song about suicide. Like that's a pretty dark song, man.
Oh yeah. But you know, it sounds all happy and it's really catchy, you know?
Yeah. And that's the Ghost aspects. Like it fools you. You think like, oh yeah, it's a pop kind of rock song, but then, but like I think unlike Ghost, I guess is what I was trying to say. Like Ghost, those guys always seem like they have it's tongue in cheek. Like they're not taking that stuff very seriously.
Oh yeah, of course not. No. They're doing it for for the whole, for lack of a better term, shock rock type deal.
Yeah.
You know, they have a certain look that they're going for. They have a certain theme. They're putting on a show. It's theatrics, man.
Yeah,
it's like King Diamond. Diamond. Dude, I love me some King Diamond and Merciful Fate. Like if I'm gonna listen to like some stuff with that kind of theme, I'm going King Diamond or Merciful Fate. You know,
if you had
classic.
makeup on, you could like pass for King Diamond. You could do a King Diamond. I always say, like on all the chat stuff, I say Death Metal Hero has the best hair in Comicsgate.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I stopped working a corporate job and I decided, you know what? I'm going to cut my hair into a mohawk and I'm going to dye it blue.
Yeah.
You know, I decided to do that long before, all this quote unquote blue-haired land whales or whatever, all these weirdos decided to do it.
Yeah, some people are trying to compare you to that, but those people are wrong.
Yeah, well, they don't know me,
Get to know me.
I mean, the whole dyeing your hair blue and or multicolors or whatever, and doing a mohawk and wearing studs and spikes. I mean, that's punk or punk, as our friend Carl O'Rourke would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and that's about like doing something that is outside of what you're being told to do, not following the party line, as it were. So I do enjoy a bit of punk myself. I like my Sex Pistols and my Generation X. And even like proto-punk stuff like Iggy and the Stooges. Like I love me some Stooges from back in the day. Like Raw Power is such an awesome album.
Wasn't there like a story like Iggy Pop got so like when he was with the Stooges, he was so into it that he actually ended up like eating the mic, like he just slammed the mic. I don't think he did it on purpose, but into his own face and chipped his tooth.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but I do know that like he would end up like break. He one story I heard was that he broke a glass, like a beer glass or something like that, and then ended up picking up like pieces of it and like cutting himself on stage just because he was in the throes of the moment and just like kept singing. Iggy was a crazy dude, man.
It's gonna be him and Keith Richards, and they're never gonna die, right? Those two guys. Like Iggy Pop looks like he's in good shape right now, man.
Oh yeah, dude, he's always been in good shape. I mean, he's always been wiry and like fairly toned, but yeah, he does kind of look a little bit like beef jerky.
Yeah, he's a little stringy.
Yeah, well, I mean, him and Keith Richards, man, two walking pieces of beef jerky that are preserved by, because of all the drugs they've done.
Well, if that's what does it, then I wonder if there's still time for us.
I don't know, man. I'll have to see. I've also heard legend that Keith Richards gets blood transfusions from virgins.
And human sacrifices, yeah.
And human sacrifices, exactly. So, we'll see. Let's see. Leg Kick says he met all of Slipknot, and most of them are comic fans. Hooked number 4 up with Batman Dead End. He has an FF on his arm. That's cool. Yeah, I used to dig Slipknot back in the day. Then they released Volume 3, and I lost track of them after that. But yeah, I know Corey Taylor is a huge nerd. He's also kind of pretentious, but anyway, whatever.
We won't hold it against him.
I've been called an elitist before, so it's all good. I never begrudge anybody the stuff that they listen to.
What do you think of Avenged Sevenfold? Do you think when Metallica passed the throne or the baton to them that they were worthy of it?
This is probably going to be controversial, but I'm really not a big Metallica fan. Like I prefer Megadeth over Metallica.
I love Megadeth, man. You know why I like Megadeth is because Dave seems like he has his tongue firmly in his cheek. Like I don't think he's taken that lyrical content seriously. You know what I mean? Like that guy's
hell no.
A great time, like even the early stuff, what it's like, what do you mean I don't vote? I go to court, or I don't support the system. I go to court when I have
to. What do you mean I'm not kind? I'm just not your kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Peace Sells, man. That's a great song.
And you know what? The thing is, not that I'm going to overly get deep, like, Metallica's deep or Megadeth is deep, but that song actually, if you think about it, it is a deep idea, because if you could monetize peace, we would probably have peace, right? If like corporate America or the corporations of the world could somehow figure out how to monetize peace, holy shit, we'd have peace, right?
Right? If you could make money off of peace, yeah, absolutely, man. That's unfortunately that seems to be the motivation behind lots of things.
Yes.
But yeah, we actually have a Megadeth Rust in Peace guitar tab book that somebody brought in for used book credit at the shop now. It's been eyeballing me all day today. So if nobody buys it by tomorrow, it might have to come home with me.
And make the wall of books there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing. When I'm in the shop, like we'll get like these really old issues, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have that. I need that for my collection. No, I'm gonna let it sit there, and if nobody buys it by the time I leave on Saturday, well, then I might just have to buy it myself.
Yeah, I make all kinds of like imaginary pacts with myself as well. Like you said, like, well, if this doesn't happen by this time, well, I'm just gonna have to do it. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense, but in your mind.
Oh yeah.
If it happens, then yeah, it'll be yours.
Hey, El Gargoyle says he got the first issue of the Chaos Megadeth publication. That's awesome, man. I love Chaos. Brian Polito's my boy. I love that old stuff. I never got to get the Megadeth one, but I did pick up the Static X book, and I wanted more of it. I actually got a chance to talk to Brian about that at the convention, and they had planned to do more, but then Chaos folded.
But, yeah, that was a shame, man. That guy got ripped off.
Oh,
yeah, he's paid a hefty price.
Well, I'm glad that he held on to Lady Death, because he has done amazing with her. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Like his crowdfunding stuff he's doing it right, man. Fiend Nation is backing him up too.
Yeah, I'm so jealous that he was able to tap into that market. It's like the heavy metal comic book market.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us heavy metal people are, we're nerds, man. We grew up reading comics and, Heavy Metal Magazine and Vampirella and horror and all that stuff. We love this shit, man.
Yeah. I remember I was selling a lot of artwork through a third party, like when I was working with Jim Lee on the X-Men. And then I did. Oh, the third party finally came to me. He said, who's buying all the artwork? And I said, who? And God, it was either I think it was the drummer. I'm forgetting, Lars. And so he was buying the artwork. And then he
Lars from Metallica?
From Metallica, yeah.
Oh, no shit. All right.
So then it was the Guns and Metallica tour, that big tour that they did some years ago. And so he said he wants to meet you. So he got me backstage, and I got to hang out. There's like a backstage to a backstage. Like, so we were in that, like, before the main backstage area. I never knew that there were stages to backstage, but so we were in that section. He came out, and we hung out for about 5 minutes or so. It was pretty.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then he gave me the ultimate. Like, I go, so, you know, story this, story that. And he's like, I don't really read them. He goes, I just like the artwork.
Well, I mean, at least he was honest about it, you know.
Yeah, and he was paying top dollar, so yeah.
Well, hey, you know, all the better, you know. I'm glad that he was picking it up.
I know the guitar player guy. I can't remember his name. He's a big horror guy. Like, he's got a huge, like, horror collection.
Oh, Kirk Hammett from Metallica?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's
like
cool.
Classic, like, you know, Universal monster stuff.
Oh, nice. Leg Kick says he's got to go. Take it easy, Leg Kick. Good to see you, buddy. Be safe.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg, Leg Kick.
Oni64 says shout out to Glenn Danzig. Glenn's classic, man. And here's another controversial opinion. I actually like the Misfits better without Danzig. Famous Monsters is one of my favorites. I love that album. I know, blasphemy.
Yeah, I can't say anything bad about Glenn. He's a friend. It was WonderCon or something like that, and my daughter's a big Misfits fan, so
hell yeah.
So I'm with my wife, and my wife's just like, "What are you guys talking about?" Like, we're having a good old time talking about comics,
awesome,
and
yeah,
metal and stuff.
Glenn's.
And then my wife's like, "Do you think Amanda's in this?" I'm going, "Yeah, you should call her," because she wasn't with us. So my daughter's, you know, she likes this kind of music too.
Absolutely.
She comes running back. She's all sweaty with her friend, and she's like, "Oh!" And so then Glenn Danzig, she still has it on her wall. He did a drawing for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I did a little doodle for her, and I think they were in town. They were playing. It used to be Irvine Spectrum. I don't know what it is now, but it's an outdoor amphitheater. And he invited us there, and so we got to hang out. And
that's
awesome. Like that. Yeah, it was really cool, and my daughter was blown away because it was oh my gosh, there was no opening and act. It was insane. It was like a 2-3 hour show, and there was no opening act. So Glenn Danzig goes out, does his Glenn Danzig thing, like his solo stuff.
Yeah.
And then he came out with God, what is his name? I want to say Darby, the guitar player from the Misfits. What is his name? The guy with the hair.
Oh, Jerry Only.
Is that his name?
I think so. Oh, no.
Someone with a D, like it was just one name, like Darby or something, right?
Let's see, Misfits.
And they basically did it in like an hour and a half of Misfits music, and my daughter lost it.
Doyle,
that's
Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein. Yeah. That dude is jacked. He has always been jacked too.
Yeah, he's been working out. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like he never stopped working out. Like, dude is huge. Yeah, Oni64, Doyle. Yeah. You know, don't get me wrong. I enjoy Misfits with Danzig. I think Glenn did a better job being a solo artist. You know, he branched out a bit more, and he was able to do his own thing.
You know what Glenn and the Misfits were able to do is just, there's an iconic image, man. Like, that's one thing. Like, that's why I like metal. That's why I like mostly metal, is because there's always art, and even like more progressive. There's art involved. You know, there's like Roger Dean, who did all the, you know, the Yes stuff, and Uriah Heep, and you know, there's
Uriah Heep, nice.
There's all these, there's a drawback. Old
wow, man, I haven't heard that name forever.
Yeah, and there was always like this art that was attached to the music, and like the Misfits had that. Like, most people don't even know that skull. I know it's from a movie or something, but they
the Red Ghost,
and they used it. And can the Misfits, did they copyright? They can't copyright that, right?
Oh, that's their thing now. Like it's I think it was in public domain back then because it was so old. I want to say it was like from the 1920s, 1930s. Like, it was an old serial, and then they lifted that from that and they graphicized it, and they were able to use that.
Oh, so then they were able to copyright and trademark it. That's cool.
To my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah, because
could be
it's
wrong.
on everything. Like you go into Hot Topic, like those kids don't even know what that thing's from,
Nope.
It's like, it's a cool image. And then Danzig has that like demonic skull with the horns on it,
which he stole from a cover of, what was it, Crystar, the Crystal Warrior, a Marvel comic.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, he totally lifted that from the background of a Crystar comic. Let me look it up here real quick.
Well, he is.
I think it was like Crystar number 8 or something like that.
Well, Danzig is a big comic book guy, so
exactly. Let's see, Crystar number 8. Yep, Crystar number 8.
Can you share it? I can see if I can.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can share screen.
So did they do the same thing where they just kind of turned it into a line graphic so they could, like they did with the Misfits?
Yeah. Let's see, Chris. There we go. And
I didn't know this. Oh, there it is.
Can you see that?
Yeah. And then do I do this?
Right down there.
That's not it. Hold on. Oh, it went away. Why did it go away? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, there we are.
Right down here.
Holy shit!
Right? See if I can make it a little bit bigger.
I think they just cleaned it up. I even think it has the uplighting on it too, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It totally does. If you look at the cover of Danzig's first album, it just says Danzig above it, and it is that just done in black and white.
Who was the artist? That guy should should sue.
Right? Let's see.
I never knew that. I'm going to tell my daughter when she gets home.
Oh, yeah. See, look, there it is.
It is. It's got the uplight. Yeah, like the shadow on the top. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they didn't even redraw it. That's just,
nope.
That's the same version. It's just like... So he figured if it worked for the Misfits, it'll work for this band.
Exactly. Nobody pays attention to this. It's an obscure Marvel comic that nobody was reading back in the 80s.
Well, I'll tell you, as a killer backdrop on stage, it looks freaking amazing.
Oh, it's menacing as hell, man, and that's why he chose it. Oh. An awesome-looking demon skull like that? Shit.
I think the uplight works on stage too, because the stage light, because it's up higher, so it looks like almost like realistic lighting that's affecting that thing, like it's really there. Versus I can't remember how he did it. There was some kind. It wasn't a hologram, but there was something that he did with that backdrop when he was on stage that looked really cool. Oh, what a thief!
Totally. I'm trying to see if this page is going to tell us where it came from.
Glenn was always ripped too, right? Like he was always...
Oh yeah, he's always been in really good shape.
I'll tell you the funny thing is that there's the backdrop. Is when we saw him, he's an older guy now, and when he turned his back to the audience, you know how you can like spray on your hair, like when you're losing your hair, you can kind of like spray paint your skin to where it looks like the hair. And, I think he has a little bit of, what do they call that? A friar tuck in the back. It's really minute, but so I think he just sprays a little bit of that spray hair stuff on.
Right.
But the thing is, he's all sweaty. So when he would turn his back to the crowd, the lights would kind of reflect back, and you could see.
No!
Yeah.
Oh no! It starts like leaking down his back. No.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, because it was sweaty, because it was his scalp. It wasn't the hair. Yeah, you could see it. Yeah, it was pretty.
Oh.
But you know what? I'll tell you about midway through the set, his voice was gone. It was gone, and that dude had a dig down. I've never seen a singer able to do this. Like he wasn't 100%, like the first hour or whatever,
Right.
but he was still nailing it, man. But he was just working on fumes. Like his voice was gone, but he was still belting it out and giving it everything he had. I've never seen a singer have that kind of dig down before because it was like a
That's awesome
show. Yeah, and that
holy hell, wow.
Yeah, because there was no opening act, so Glenn Dan did both, both parts. He was always on stage. I don't even think there was an intermission. He just went right on, invited Doyle up, and then they just started going into Misfits. The Misfits backdrop comes down, and then everybody loses their shit, and then for another hour or so, they're playing Misfits songs.
That's awesome. I mean, that would be a hell of a show to see. That would be a hell of a show to see. I will fully admit that.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm still trying to figure out if we can find out who did the who drew that. Maybe Amazon says.
I'm going to say Al Milgrom because he seems like about that time, and Al Milgrom did everything for Marvel at that time. Do you have a guess?
Artist. I mean, Al Milgrom sounds about right. Oh, Michael Golden, actually.
No way!
Yep, that was Michael Golden. Holy hell. The cover, cover of issue 8 of Saga of Crystar, drawn by Michael Golden, features a skull logo that was later used by the bands Samhain and Danzig.
Oh, Michael, I hope you got some money on that one because that's not an obscure comic book artist. That's a pretty big name.
Oh, yeah, and an amazing comic book artist. It's a King Crow. Go ahead.
I have a X-Men cover that I inked over Michael Golden that I have somewhere. It was never used. How do you hire Michael Golden to pencil a cover and not use it? That's worth. I have it somewhere.
Wow. I am completely dumbfounded by that.
Yeah, I was like, just out of the blue, they asked me, "Hey, you want to ink Michael Golden?" And I was like, "Sure." Why not?
Yeah, Art's all nonchalant. He's like, "Yeah, sure." And inside, he's like, "Oh my god!"
I usually don't get starstruck till after the fact, like after it's done, and then I shit myself.
Well, that's good. You keep your composure until after the deed's done. That's great, man.
Yeah. That's funny.
Let's see. Somebody said something here. King Crow asks, "Do we ever read any of those old Verotic comics?" No, I never did, King Crow. What about you, Art? You familiar with those?
Yeah. It wasn't Glenn. I forget who was managing that publishing line. But they asked me because this is also, I think, during the Image heyday when that book line came out, that publishing line. But I never did anything for them. I had friends that did work for them, but I never did. Like I think Mark Pasilla did some stuff.
Oh, cool.
And Dan Panosian did work for them.
Dan does some good work, man. I like his stuff.
Yeah. And they tried, but I was way too busy. I forget what I was doing, but I didn't really have the time. They were paying good money too.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember seeing a few of their titles. Like, I remember seeing the logo and whatnot, but I never got a chance to pick them up.
Well, they had they didn't have all the Frazetta licenses. Did they just have the Death Dealer, or they had some Frank Frazetta license, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was Death Dealer. That's what somebody said here in the comments. Let's see. Only 64. Rick Rubin probably paid off Marvel. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, that I wouldn't be surprised. King Crow says those old Death Dealer and Jaguar God. That's the one I remember. He says those comics were great.
Yeah, Jaguar God was the sexy chick. I think that's the one they wanted me to draw a cover for because I remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Simonon7 says Death Dealer was Bisley art. That sounds awesome. Bisley is absolutely a disciple of Frazetta.
Yeah, they had different people too, working. God, I have a busy story. It's hilarious, man. So I think it's a Texas show. My daughter's an artist too, so we do a lot of conventions together. And
she's fantastic too.
Oh, thank you. Brian Polito loves her. He even hired her to do a cover for Lady Death.
Oh, I remember. I remember seeing it. And I was like, hell yeah!
Yeah, so he jammed on that, and that was, I think, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And so it was that same con. So I think Brian Polito's right next to us, and I think across the way was Simon. And so he keeps coming by, and he's looking at Amanda's artwork. And then, he'd leave. He wouldn't say anything, and then he'd just leave. I knew who he was, but I didn't say anything to her. And so then he comes by, a couple more times. And he finally goes, "That's pretty good." And she goes, "Oh, well, thank you." And he walks away. And then I finally told her, I go, that's Simon Bisley. And, because she knows the artwork. She doesn't always know the names. And then she's like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah. That's this guy." And so he came back later at the end of the day, and he bought a piece of artwork off of her. That's one that awesome. He kept walking back. Yeah. And so then I had to do it. Death Metal Hero. I had to do it because it's hilarious. Because I think this was day 2 or whatever on a 3-day show. And I know that guy is fairly abusive, but in a fun way, like in a way that we would be entertained by. Probably
he's gruff.
Yeah, he's a gruff guy, like he's drinking at breakfast, he's having a beer, while he's eating his scrambled eggs,
He's British, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a huge dude too, man. He's massive. And so he comes in. I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know quite what. So I go, "Can we take a picture with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, my daughter." I mean, T-Bears were not big people, right? And so we're like basically up to his underarm, right? And he's in the center, but he's got his arms like around us, but both arms, like you can see, they're not like touching us; they're up in the air, and he's flipping us. He's flipping the camera off. So there's 2 big middle fingers like up in the air, and there's like my little daughter, like she was pretty young at the time. She just like smiling all innocent, and I'm smiling like trepidatiously, like something's gonna happen, man. I just don't know what. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, when we looked at the picture later.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's like, that totally sounds like Bisley too. Everything that I've heard about him.
Yeah, I mean, he was like the sweetest and the most gruff at the same time. You know what I mean? Like there was like it was happening simultaneous, and it's still one of my favorite con moments of all time.
That's awesome, man. I would love to meet Biz and just shoot the shit with him for a little while about Frazetta and art and different stuff like that. Hell, working with Kevin Eastman, like, because he did that whole Casey Jones Raphael thing, body count with Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, Kevin Eastman was there at the show too. Maybe maybe that's what they were promoting.
This was a few years ago.
3 to 5 years ago.
Oh God. I don't know. Sure. Let's go ahead and say yeah. Because I know that I saw it, a while back, but time kind of blurs together after a while.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, because they also did what was it? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, they did a book called Thumpin' Guts. Thumpin' Guts. I remember it because there was this big creature-looking thing that had like what looked like blades, strapped to its forearm, just like throwing an arm up and bashing into the logo. And I always remember thinking, wow, that is a really interesting cover. What kind of creature is that? And then the whole Thumpin' Guts logo was kind of mashed up. King Crow says body count was with Image. It was at least 7 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That could be the time. We have been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've been kicking ass at this for a long while, man.
35 years. This will be 36 this year.
Holy crap.
I
Like,
know. I keep thinking it doesn't feel like it, but then when you start, like remembering books you worked on, and then when you think about what the industry was like when I broke in, there wasn't even Federal Express. Like we had to go to the post office and mail pages and stuff. It was
wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. Not to make you feel old or anything, Art, but you've been doing this for about as long as I've been alive. I'm going to be 37 this year.
Well, I feel old.
Sorry, man, but I mean, you're amazing, man. You've been doing great work for so long. Like seriously, your artwork has been a part of my life since I started reading comics, man, and it's fucking fantastic.
Well, thank you, and thanks for supporting all those books through the years, man. It's amazing when you think that it's not just like working a job, it's actually people supporting you. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like I'm getting a paycheck. If people don't like what you do, they don't buy your book and you don't work. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty lucky that I've managed to connect with people all those years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you've worked on a lot of really cool properties. You've turned out some tremendous work, and it's been cool getting to hang out with you on live streams, getting to talk to you. I mean, you've got a great personality too, man. I can see why people like you. You're down to earth. You're fun. You like to make jokes. And you love comics. You can tell that you love what you do. So, cheers to you, mate.
Thanks. I don't know what else I would be doing. You know what I mean? Like I actually cannot. Like sometimes you ask yourself these questions, like, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this? And I don't have an answer. You know what I mean? Like I actually don't have an answer. Like, well, would you, be working a Joe job? Would you have some kind of profession? Would you? I don't have an answer. This is all there is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chuck Dixon said the same thing when I talked to him like eons ago at MegaCon. He was like, I'm not really good at anything else. It's either write comics or drive an ice cream truck. I thought that was a great answer.
I saw that. That was a great, quick, like, it was almost like a man on the street kind of interview, right? Like,
yeah, and that's what we used to do back in the day. I would just walk around and I would see, different people sitting at tables at conventions and be like, hey, I recognize that name. I've read some of their stuff. I'm going to go up and ask them a bunch of random questions. I would never prepare for any of this. I would just shoot questions off the top of my head.
That's what I was just going to ask you, if you prepared or had like chambered a few questions that you would ask everybody.
Well, I'd have like the usual ones, like, what got you into comics, and like, who are your influences and stuff like that. But, I always enjoyed letting the conversation kind of take me wherever it would, and then asking, random questions based on their responses. Because, I mean, how else would I have found out that Chuck Dixon drove an ice cream truck or was a security guard at one point?
Exactly. Yeah. We all have our Joe jobs.
Oh yeah, I mean, I drove an ice cream truck for a while. I've worked in a telemarketing firm where people call in, and that was a boring job. Although I will say this, I had a Tetris game, and I had my spiel that I did, and the better I did at Tetris, the better I was at selling and pitching the things that I was selling.
What was the correlation?
You know what? I have no idea. I think I was just, my subconscious mind was just going, and I was, focusing. My conscious mind was focusing on the Tetris, and then my subconscious mind was just, selling.
So I don't know. You're a good salesman when you don't think too much about it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna do a couple more lines here, and then I think we should let everybody go.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man, and it
This
helps
has been a blast.
it helps me focus. So I really do appreciate you coming in and helping out. So I have a little spoiler. I can't show you this part, but so
Spoilers.
here's spoiler. So
That's awesome.
there we go. And
You should full screen that so everybody can see it better.
let me see.
There you go. Yeah. You said that's Bitchosaurus?
Yeah, Bitchosaurus Rex. Yeah, she's an experiment gone wrong. So she's a sentient. She can think and speak, and the stuff that comes out of her mouth is not nice.
Well, befitting the name.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
So the rest of the Chrono characters refer to her as a Bitchosaurus.
That's awesome.
No, thank you.
Looking forward to this book, man. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a blast to work on. It is a lot of fun to do. I'm so thankful for all the support that we've gotten on the book so far. And how long have you been in this community? Because it seems like you just were a blip on the radar when Dan Fraga started.
I mean, I've been following Ethan's channel since he started. Like when he was doing, interviews with like other comic pros and doing art videos. Because I mean, I interviewed Ethan like way back in the day, and I've always enjoyed his artwork. And I, was just looking on YouTube one day, and I saw, oh, well, shit, Ethan's got a channel. I'm gonna check it out and see what's going on. And then, then I discovered, your boy Zach. And other channels, and it's just like, wow, there's this whole indie comics community that's a little bit tired of the nonsense that's going on. Like back when I was doing Last Wednesday, like the comics community was a lot different. Like people were still civil to one another, and they you could have conversations, you could have disagreements without it turning into essentially all out war.
Right.
So I mean, I've been watching this on the sidelines for a while, and I finally decided to just start interacting, and talking to people, because there's a lot of cool people in this community.
Yeah, I agree. Was Frega the first time you started like bopping on streams? Because that's the first time I saw you, I think.
Yeah. Fraga's a name that I've seen in my books for years. And I found his channel, and he hadn't been putting anything up, and then I clicked the bell for notifications, and it popped up, and I was like, oh cool, he's doing a live stream, let's see what he's talking about. And the Fraga Boombox is what we call it, and just the community that we have there, like the dudes that we hang out with, DOODZ, bunch of good people. It's a lot of fun, and I just kept hanging out, and he threw the link in the chat one day, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna see if I can get on there. And I really didn't expect to get on, and got on there and started talking, and it's just kind of been almost a semi-regular thing. Whenever he does a live stream, I always jump in just to talk to the dudes in the boombox.
Didn't you go on Ethan's the other, like he did like an open casting call too? Like he put the link in the chat and you went on there.
He did. Yeah. It was cool. I got to say hi to Malin and Cecil and, talk about things. We were talking about, I think I brought up the whole variant cover issue thing and how it's getting kind of ridiculous. But, and then Ethan will pop on to Dan Fraga's stream and, He was hanging out and talking about comics, being excited about getting this issue of Fantastic Four that he had just found. And, it's just, fun hanging out with people talking about this medium that we love,
Yeah, I can talk endlessly about it. It's fascinating. And over 35 years, I still find there are factions, and it's almost like there's layers to this industry. Like every time I go to a convention or every time I meet somebody new, there's like, oh, there's because at first you just think, oh, there's the mainstream, right? There's just like Marvel and DC, and then you go, oh, there's some indies, but then you realize there's some the heavy party guys, and they're like the more underground guys,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then then there's action figure guys, and then there's purist comic guys, and then there's like metal comic book guys, and then there, what I mean? Like there's all these different like factions of the industry, and I find it's so inspiring. And then I remember when my wife and we were doing the Hollywood Shuffle, and we went to San Diego, and we went with our agent there at that time, and so he's introducing us to all these different people. They're just walking around, and so then we went out to dinner and lunch with another group of people, and then you realize there's a bunch of Hollywood people that are comic book fans. You know what I mean? Like, what I mean?
Yeah.
You start seeing all these different, from all different walks of life, all different places that read comic books. And that just blows my mind. And so now with like comics getting all this, it's just one more, like level. It's just one more fan group that exists, and that we get to entertain. So it's a blast. Yeah, I can't get enough of it. So I'm kind of trying to look through the chat and see what we got. A lot of Fraga booms.
Fraga boom.
Yeah, I don't know when he hasn't done a live stream in a while. He has a ton of work, right?
Yeah, he's just finished up Masters of the Universe. I think it was issue 3 was his last issue. Masters of the Multiverse. And Slick Rick asked or said that he hadn't been getting any notifications from Fraga recently, and it's because he's working on Black Flag. He's taking a break from doing the live streams so he can work on Black Flag. He's trying to, at least to my knowledge, he's trying to launch it sometime early this year. Black Flag Pineapple Perception was what it's going to be called, and he's going to be launching it on Indiegogo. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. And he's probably doing the smart thing. He's probably trying to get a lot of work done before he launches. That with Chrono, and it does help. Black and White, not so much, but Chrono, I did. Because this page right now that you're looking at, that's page 48. So if you kept with the original numbering that we, started the crowdfund with, which was 48-page graphic novel, I would be done with the book right now. But we added 12 new pages. So
yes.
That's all I have left. So I'm really, really happy with that. So I'm
more bang for the buck.
Yeah, I'm still looking to try to get done probably by end of February, like wrapping up the whole thing, pencils, inks, colors, and lettering, and then out to print at that point. At least that's the goal. And if we could do that, then I'm pretty sure we'll be able to fulfill earlier than that date that we originally put down there, which will be nice.
Oh, hell yeah. People will enjoy that, because that's always the biggest, I guess, complaint about the crowdfunding thing is like, no, they're not shipping on time, blah, blah, blah. Well, you got to remember, people are, doing everything that a publisher normally would do, and they're having to do it themselves on top of doing the writing and the artwork and, finding an appropriate printer and then a fulfillment service, or are they going to fulfill it themselves? I mean, it requires patience, Yeah,
I have a ton of patience. The thing that always seems to run out is just time.
Oh yeah.
Like I love doing every part of it, but it always gets bad. Like around this time every day, you look at it, you go, well, it's this time. How much work did I get done? Oh no, oh no, lighter. I only got half of what I had planned to do. And that always becomes the eye opener. So every day it's like that. So, well, not every day. I am getting better. So I'm trying to be more realistic every morning. So I have a to-do for every day, and then I try to stick to that, just so I can bring some kind of sanity and get things done in a timely fashion. Oh,
having that schedule definitely helps. That keeps you on track, keeps you doing things.
Yeah. So Sierra's a good guy. Says, "What's up, Death Metal Hero Art?"
What up, Sierra? Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I'll do this. What, honey?
Yes.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Sierra's a buddy of mine on Twitter as well.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. He hangs out with us in the studio here sometimes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he'll bop in. Yeah, we did a live stream and he was actually here. That was a lot of fun. He's got
That's
a book coming
awesome.
out too. Yeah.
See, and that's the other amazing thing about this community is that there are so many talented people. It is ridiculous. Like
And
there are so many people.
They're coming out of the woodwork. It's like Image Comics in the day. Like you didn't know there was a J. Scott Campbell. You didn't know there was a Michael Turner, a Dave Finch. You didn't know those guys existed.
Exactly.
Out. I also think success brings good talent to the forefront. And all those things are happening right now. So you're not just getting, grizzled vets like myself, but you're also some brand new talent out that are just starting their career.
Like Rob Willis, man, with Shinobi Sasquatch. Oh my God.
Wait, I got to show you something. Keep talking.
Well, I mean, just the stuff that he posts on Twitter, I'm just like, oh, dude, you are so damn good. Like he posted a picture of these boots that he was drawing. I was like, hey, how did you get a picture of the boots I wear to death metal shows? And he thought that was pretty funny. But just so many talented people in this community. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking through my archives for my.
You got to show me some Rob Willis artwork that you got, aren't you?
Yes, I am. But
you gonna make me jealous, Art? Damn, son. That's all right. That's all right. I'll find a way to get some Rob Willis art.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab this stack and bring it out.
I will say this: looking at Rob's stuff makes me want to work harder and get my shit in order.
Are you an artist?
I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
These are what I've been working on. So these are going to go out.
Oh, the head sketches, nice.
These are the head sketches. Yeah. So I still have a little bit of ink wash to do, but they're all at this level now. I just have to do the ink wash, and then these are going to start shipping out.
Awesome.
I'm going to go through my pages here. Yeah, it wasn't Rob. Somebody, I can't remember his name now. He sent me a Rob Willis page, which was awesome.
Actually, I think I remember you talking about that on one of your live streams at some point.
Yeah.
Somebody sent you a page of Rob's artwork. That's fantastic.
Here's the that Judge Anderson that I did.
Yeah, love them skulls, man. Like the whole piece is fantastic, but those skulls are great. I've got an affinity for skulls. I don't know if you can tell. Kind of my aesthetic.
Here it is.
Oh my God, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful.
I talked to Rob. I've been trying to get him on the show, but he's just so busy. He's got a young family too. So
yeah.
But he wants to. It's just a matter of making time. But he does this with a marker. I just say, I got to get this guy and sit him down and just say, there's an easier way to do this. Yeah.
But hold on. What, a marker? Like,
well, I call them markers like a micron. I know.
Oh, okay. All right. When you say marker, I'm thinking like, Sharpie. And I'm like, holy hell, he got that with a Sharpie? Damn.
Well, I did these black and white drawings are with the Sharpie. These are with the Sharpie.
See, folks, it doesn't matter the tool. It's the talent behind the tool.
Yeah, it's a combination of the two. But like all this stuff, like he's drawing all this really refined hatchwork in.
Yeah.
Actually, the camera's not doing it justice right now, but yeah.
His rendering is just fantastic.
Yeah. I don't want to work that hard anymore, so I don't do that level of rendering anymore. Oh, here's
what you've done this long enough that you're entitled to that.
Yeah, well, I've been there, done that. So you'll appreciate this. This is Frankenstein from the DCU.
Nice.
Yeah, this is Aaron Lepresti's pencils.
Oh, Lepresti's fantastic too.
With my inks, yeah.
Nice. That's beautiful work, man.
Yeah, Aaron's really good.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, I could do this. I got a whole stack here, but I'm not.
And you know what? I could sit here and watch you go through it the entire evening, man. I love looking at the original art.
But the interesting thing, like, I'm just going to put this up again. Like, you can see this,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see this. It's
two totally different styles, but they're two different stories you're telling, man.
yeah.
You know, there's a certain mood and a feel that you're going for with the Judge Hershey piece. And, you know, there's a certain mood and feel that you're going for with Chrono Mechanics. Like, Chrono Mechanics is lighthearted. You know, you're telling a lighthearted, fun story, and you've got a lighthearted, fun style to go along with it.
Exactly. It's like you know me.
You know, I've been paying attention.
You are sharp.
You know, I've been reading comics for a long time, man, and I've seen a lot of different art styles, and I know what I like, and I know you can tell when somebody is really into what they're doing, when somebody, you know, actually has a passion for what they're doing. Look at Caravaggio there. Look at the energy that you put into that piece. You know, the expression on his face. You know, that, I mean, you're telling a story with just his body language right there. You know? Mm-hmm. And like the movement of the feather wrapping around him, it's fantastic stuff, man. It's got a certain sense of whimsy to it.
Yeah, here's an alternate for that. This is a sexier version of that Judge Anderson.
Oh, that was Judge Anderson. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. So, that's a cool one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna give these to the guy that bought the piece.
Nice.
These are just like work in progress stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. Change the body language a little bit. Change the posture and the pose.
She's a little more cute in the final. Like, she's a little more badass.
Yeah. I mean, she's still cute, and she's still feminine, but yeah, definitely a little more, less of the hip, more of the, wide stance, power stance thing going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's fantastic, man.
Well, thank you. Would you be up for doing this in the future?
Oh, absolutely, man. This is awesome. Come hang out and talk about comics and rock and roll and metal and movies and stuff like that. Oh no.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Who would?
Because I mean, this is part of the reason why I love working at the shop. On Fridays and Saturdays, because people come in, and I've had so many people popping in saying, well, I haven't read a comic in like 15 years, or I haven't read a comic since the 90s. And I'm like, really? Well, let's see what we can find for you. And, talk about the different things that they're into, trying to help them find something cool to read. And, I want to be like, you know what? There's all kinds of cool shit online that you should go check out. But, I got to try to sell some stuff that's actually in the store. That's why I would love to see some of like the indie stuff that is being put out on Indiegogo actually make it into the shops later. That way I can be like, check this out, and they can get it at a cheaper price, so they're not, so they can actually read it, because there's some really cool indie stuff coming out.
Yeah, I have some ideas of redoing Black and White Volume 2 in a newsprint, and if you want, I can get copies, or I'll try to get copies into your, your shop owner's hands if you want to try to do something like that, even if it's on, what do they call that? Consignment or whatever.
Okay.
I can send them to you. If they sell, then you can pay me. If not, then just ship them back, kind of thing.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I'll talk to her about it. I'll send her an email tomorrow.
Yeah. Because like you said, the bells and whistles Indiegogo stuff is probably a little harder to sell, just because of the sticker price. And then by the time you guys added your, cost to it, or your profit margin into it, those would be some expensive books. But yeah, I've been trying to work out ways of doing a more mass, I guess, printing, to where I could get it into more people's hands.
Sure.
Because like you said, there's a lot of work that goes into these books, and it's just kind of a shame that I mean, we did really well with Black and White, and Chrono's doing well as at this point as well. But you always want to reach a bigger market. You want to get as many people their eyes on the book and enjoy the book as you can. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's my future. That's 2020 is to try to see if I can bring the cost down maybe on some of these books and get them into more people's hands.
Awesome. I think that's a fantastic idea. Sweetcast was actually talking about that in one of his videos, talking about how, the Indiegogo stuff is more of like the prestige format. And then, the possibility of doing like a cheaper version, like you said, on newsprint, and then getting it into, shops and whatnot, and, Peter Smeddy's definitely the guy, to help do that.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Peter about printing and possibly even about distribution. Because I know he does get into shops and stuff. The thing is that I don't have anything personally against Diamond, but I just don't want to work with them, to be honest, because I think they take quite a bit, and I've heard nothing.
I don't blame you.
But bad stories, even the way like retailers have been treated by Diamond, being shorted orders, getting books that are damaged, and then not being able to sell, because you guys have a window, like you get the new books Wednesday, and if 10 out of 20 of those books is damaged, you're really only ordering what you can sell. And so if you're shorted, like even though you're not shorted, but if 10 of those are damaged, you can't sell those. And then by the time they ship the undamaged ones or the good ones back to you, that window might have already closed for that consumer, because they might have already went to another shop
or bought it online.
Yeah, or bought it online. So yeah,
it is
feel your pain.
Absolutely infuriating when you open up a box from Diamond and you've got customers that are looking for this certain book, and it's going into their pull list, and you order just enough to cover the pull list and maybe have one for the wall. And that one is damaged, or several of them are damaged, and then your pull box customers get shorted, and unfortunately I'm usually the one that has to pay the price for that, because I work in the shop. I can wait for my book to get reshipped. The customers come first always. So yeah, it's infuriating sometimes, and I really wish Diamond had some competition. That way they had to step up their game and actually take better care of the books. Because these aren't just periodicals. These aren't just things that get shipped to a store that people are buying. These are collectibles, man. These are things that people are going to put in their collection and hold on to.
Yeah, if they were mass selling to like Walmarts and things like that, it would be different. But these are high-end comic shops that sell collectibles, and when you have clients going in, they want a book in good condition. Do you still have a lot of people that will buy a reader copy and then a collectible copy? Do you still have that?
Yeah, some people, especially with the variants. Like if there's a specific variant that they're looking for, if we just happen to have it, they'll buy the regular cover, and then they'll buy a variant cover. But oftentimes we aren't able to get all the crazy variants that people are looking for. It's sometimes we will get like the one per store variant because we ordered a certain number of a book, and those we can usually sell for a higher price. But when, like, for Thor #1, for example, there were 11 different covers for that book, and some of them you had to order a bunch of books in order to get, and it's like, smaller shops can't do that. We'll get the regular cover, and then we'll get one of the variant covers that we can order, however many we want of, without a certain number of having to order the other. And, that's what we get,
Yeah. What would be neat is if we could, I know Diamond holds on to these names of all the shops with an iron hand, with an iron fist, but if we could get like a bunch of retailers and then just kind of basically advertise to them and say, we have all these variants, well, not variants, but we have this, these other books that are available, and you could order them directly from us. And then we could work out pricing and shipping, and then get these books into people's hands without the Diamond 20%. Is it still 20%? They take a lot, right?
I'm not 100% sure what it is. I haven't gotten into that part of it yet. I'm the only employee. It's just me and the owner. I work on Fridays and Saturdays so she can have a long weekend. She's been doing this for 33 years. She loves her store.
Yeah.
It's also sells used books. So I mean, she's been doing this for a long time, and this is her livelihood. So I mean, I'm just there on the weekends so she can have like a nice long weekend. But yeah, as far as I know, it's a pretty decent chunk that they take.
Yeah, because like Diamond takes 20% from the. I'm not sure if it's the printer, the publisher, and then they sell it. Is it half price to you, and then you mark it up, like the retailer marks it up from
the full retail price. Yeah, I do know that we get the books at a discounted rate, and I will say this: Marvel does give a pretty good discount on the books when you buy them. Like they're pretty decent discount, because I do some special ordering sometimes for the shop, But yeah, just the variants I think are getting out of control. That's honestly that's my biggest complaint right now is that the variants, and everybody wants that one specific variant, and we can't fill that need.
And then that variant goes up on the wall for like $100, right? Because
something like that, yeah. I think we got a 1 in 25 Absolute Carnage variant, and we sold that for like $25-$30. And granted, we were able to sell it, but it took a little while, because I mean that's for a single issue, that's a bit of a steep price, Yeah.
Definitely. Well, very good. I'm gonna check my messages right now real quick, see if there's anything. Oh, I just got a message from Kyle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I hope he's doing okay. I'll read it later. But yeah, so thank you so much, Death Metal Hero, for showing up and hanging out, making this drawing stream a lot more fun and helping me to stay focused.
Absolutely,
I do appreciate that. And everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us. And yeah, we'll do this again sometime. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. I'm always down to talk about comics, movies, and death metal. I'm always about it, man.
All right, brother, man. You have a great weekend.
You as well. Take it easy, chat. Good to see you guys.
See you guys.